With some news coming in from the EV sector, well, Chinese EV maker BYD has unveiled a new technology. This technology allows for a range of around 400 kilometers.
While the world was busy watching Elon Musk fire off tweets, Toyota quietly pulled the trigger on a technology that may end Tesla's entire advantage in one shot. 80% charge, less than 30 minutes, lower cost, no cobalt, no nickel, no noise. And Toyota didn't just launch this to flex, they launched it to take over. This wasn't a concept car. It wasn't a maybe-in-the-future promise. This was real, mass-producible, and aimed straight at the working-class buyer. But why now? Why are Ford, General Motors, and even BYD suddenly scrambling? And if Tesla can't catch up, what happens next? For your car, your wallet, and your country. This isn't just about batteries. It's about who controls the road ahead. And trust me, you don't want to miss how this ends. Why this quick charging changes everything. When people say electric vehicles are the future, what they rarely admit is that charging time has always been the deal breaker. Range anxiety gets all the headlines, but nobody wants to wait for an hour just to top off their battery. Now with Toyota's new Blade battery, that barrier just disappeared. 80% in under 30 minutes is not just a technical achievement, it is a cultural breakthrough. Imagine the way Americans think about gas stations. They are not places people enjoy, they are tolerated. They exist because refueling is quick and necessary. Toyota just brought that same logic to the electric world. This means the long road trip, the lunch break top-up, the late-night emergency drive, all of it now exists inside the EV ecosystem. And with that change, the emotional distance many working-class Americans felt toward electric vehicles shrinks instantly. Charging becomes part of the rhythm of daily life, not an interruption. Even more critical is the simplicity behind it. No wild upgrades to infrastructure, no revolutionary charger designs, just smarter battery chemistry and efficiency gains where it matters most. And for communities that have been historically overlooked by the electric vehicle transition, that matters. Until now, many viewed EVs as a luxury fantasy or a green badge of wealth. They saw headlines, not solutions. Now Toyota has made it clear, this battery is not for show. It is for everyone. And the idea that someone could drive their electric vehicle into a quick stop, grab a cup of coffee, and return to an 80% full battery, that is not just convenient, it is transformational. Behind the scenes, American brands are scrambling to match the timeline. Because while the fast charging is redefining convenience, it's the Blade battery's cost-cutting capabilities that truly set it apart from the competition. But before I reveal how, I need you to hit that subscribe button. It is free, easy, and quick. I will even wait for you. Thank you. The Blade battery's hidden weapon, charging speed, gets the headlines, but cost is what flips entire markets. That's the Blade battery's real weapon. Toyota has managed to deliver a faster, longer-lasting battery that is not just better, it is cheaper, and that is where the panic truly begins. Cobalt and nickel have long been the villains in the battery cost story. Expensive, volatile, and often sourced from ethically questionable supply chains, they drive prices up and accessibility down. Toyota skipped them. Instead, the Blade battery uses lithium iron phosphate chemistry, which not only brings down cost, but also improves safety and lifespan. That decision sends a shockwave through competitors, who built their pricing models around materials that are no longer necessary. What Toyota has done is break the idea that electric vehicles must come with a premium. For the first time, there is a credible path to EVs that cost less than comparable gasoline-powered vehicles. And not just in tax incentive fantasy land. We are talking about upfront sticker prices that undercut combustion models. That kind of shift does not just disrupt, it shatters the current economic structure. The implications are massive. Working-class families who once ruled out EVs entirely can now walk into a Toyota dealership and see real options that do not require a second mortgage. And this time, they do not have to worry about replacing expensive battery packs 5 years down the line. The Blade battery's extended life cycle is part of the value proposition. Tesla, Ford, and General Motors have all invested heavily in batteries that require rare metals, complex thermal management systems, and massive factory footprints. If Toyota can roll out its batteries at scale without those constraints, they will reset the cost curve for the entire industry. The fallout extends to Wall Street too. If Toyota begins capturing market share not through futuristic design, but simply through affordability, investors will pivot, capital will move. and automakers that once prided themselves on sleek, expensive designs may find themselves losing to a company that simply made better batteries, faster, for less. As Toyota lowers the price and ups the performance, the pressure mounts on Tesla, whose reliance on high-cost components is now its Achilles heel. Why Elon's empire could crumble from this one move? Tesla's dominance has always rested on two pillars: brand prestige and battery leadership. Toyota just lit a match under the second one. Inside Tesla, the 4680 battery was supposed to be the crown jewel, a revolutionary step forward in density, cost, and scalability. Delays, however, have plagued its rollout. Manufacturing challenges, inconsistent yields, and unfulfilled promises have made it more of a liability than a breakthrough. Meanwhile, Toyota sidestepped the hype entirely and delivered something working. The 4680 is still in development hell, while the Blade battery is moving to mass production. That gap is not theoretical, it is market death. Investors are starting to notice. The question echoing through shareholder calls and boardroom meetings is no longer, how does Tesla stay ahead? It is now, how do they stop the bleeding? At the same time, BYD is surging. The Chinese automaker already shocked the world with its Blade battery in its first generation. Now Toyota has entered the ring with a version that arguably improves on it in cost, reliability, and charging speed. Tesla, once the disruptor, now finds itself surrounded on all sides by legacy giants and upstart innovators. This is where things begin to unravel. Tesla cannot afford a price war. Its margins depend on premium branding and high-cost components. If Toyota offers comparable range, better charging, and significantly lower cost, Tesla is cornered. The Model Y can only hold its crown for so long before newer, faster, cheaper alternatives eat into its share. This is not just about the consumer, it is about perception. Tesla built its identity on being first, being bold, and being the best. If Toyota can mass-produce Blade-equipped EVs that charge in 30 minutes, last longer, and cost less, then Tesla loses all three of those pillars. First, bold, best, gone. And this isn't where the fight ends, it is where it begins. Because Toyota is not stopping. Their solid-state battery roadmap, aggressive scaling plans, and global manufacturing partnerships are already in motion. Tesla may be forced to make decisions it once considered unthinkable, slashing prices, overhauling supply chains, or even abandoning battery formats that took years to develop. Elon Musk may still command headlines. He may still rally investor confidence with a tweet. But behind the curtain, the company is running out of room to maneuver. And that is before government incentives shift, tariffs get imposed, or other automakers copy Toyota's blueprint. The battery war is no longer theoretical, it has arrived. And Toyota did not just enter the battlefield, they detonated it. Just when the dust seemed ready to settle, another ripple began to spread, because if Toyota could do this, who else was about to follow? Trump responds, the EV trade war just exploded. President Donald Trump's retaliation came swiftly, and it hit like a thunderclap. Hours after Toyota's announcement of their next-generation Blade battery, capable of reaching 80% charge in record time, Trump stepped up to the microphone with fire in his voice. The president declared a sweeping set of tariffs on all electric vehicle battery components imported from China and Japan. This was not just a trade adjustment, it was a battle cry. He called it the beginning of America's energy independence from foreign-controlled battery technology. In his speech, Trump accused Chinese and Japanese firms of using unfair advantages, subsidies, and backdoor dumping practices to undercut American industry. And then came the kicker: a 25% permanent tariff on any battery cells or raw materials sourced outside of North America, effective immediately. This move stunned the auto industry. Tesla, General Motors, Ford, all of them rely heavily on overseas supply chains for the most crucial parts of an electric vehicle, its batteries. The president's message was clear. If a carmaker wanted to sell in America, they had to build in America, with American parts. And if they could not, then they would pay the price. Almost overnight, this shifted the narrative from a clean energy revolution to a protectionist arms race. Market analysts began referring to it as the beginning of a Cold War, not over ideology, but lithium, phosphate, and nickel. Instead of missiles and satellites, the weapons now were tariffs, subsidies, and battery plants. Toyota, whose battery innovation had set off this global chain reaction, was suddenly cast as both the innovator and the unintended villain. And Trump's message wasn't just policy, it was political. In battleground states where automotive jobs had vanished or shifted overseas, he framed this as a patriotic stand. Protect American workers, punish foreign manipulation. As he put it, we're not going to let Japan or China steal our future. That declaration, however, triggered something unexpected from the north. Canada bans Tesla from EV subsidies. Toyota gets the golden pass. In Ottawa, Prime Minister Mark Carney was already under immense pressure. President Trump's tariffs had blindsided Canada's auto sector, threatening cross-border supply chains that powered tens of thousands of jobs. So Carney made a bold move of his own. He cut Tesla out of Canada's federal zero-emission incentive programs and froze over 43 million Canadian dollars in pending rebate payments. The rationale? Officially, it was to investigate alleged manipulation of the rebate system. Tesla had reportedly flooded the system with last-minute claims that overwhelmed the budget and sparked accusations of gaming the program. But behind the curtain, this was more than an audit, it was retaliation. Tesla, seen by many in Carney's administration as the face of American tech aggression, had already drawn ire for its CEO's political alignment with Trump. With trade tensions flaring, it became politically convenient to send a message. And that message was delivered loud and clear. Canada was not going to subsidize a company that had become entangled in an economic war launched by the US president. The fallout was swift and dramatic. Canadian Tesla dealerships were vandalized in separate incidents. Tires slashed, bodies scratched, windows broken. Protesters accused Elon Musk of using Canadian taxpayers while supporting policies that undermined their economy. Social media exploded with images of damaged Teslas and viral hashtags calling for boycotts. At the same time, Toyota was quietly granted full eligibility for Canada's federal and provincial electric vehicle incentives, with their new Blade battery promising safety, speed, and affordability, and none of the political baggage. Toyota emerged as the golden child of Canada's green transition. Carney did not mention Tesla directly in his speech. Instead, he praised partners who invest in our people and respect our institutions. The message was unmistakable. While Tesla's reputation was unraveling, Toyota's rose like a tide. Elon Musk, once a hero to electric vehicle advocates worldwide, was now watching governments turn cold. But the tide wasn't just political. Beneath the surface, a deeper shift was taking place in the mechanics of the global electric vehicle race. The silent takeover, how Toyota secured the global battery chain. While Western governments were caught off guard by the sudden need for battery sovereignty, Toyota had already made its move. Long before its Blade battery breakthrough, the company had been quietly locking down the supply chains that would later become the backbone of this technological arms race. Lithium from Australia, phosphate from Vietnam, rare earth processing agreements in Thailand and Indonesia, and most critically, direct partnerships with battery material refineries in Africa that bypassed Chinese middlemen altogether. Toyota had not just innovated a battery. It had secured the lifeblood of the electric vehicle industry before the others knew a war was coming. This was not an accident. While Elon Musk spent public capital on Twitter debates and high-profile Cybertruck rollouts, Toyota had been investing in quiet diplomacy and resource contracts. Even their alliance with Japanese oil giant Idemitsu Kosan was strategic. Idemitsu's distribution infrastructure allowed Toyota to route materials faster and more securely than any other automaker. The result? Toyota could produce their Blade battery at lower cost, with fewer delays, and, most importantly, with supply routes largely shielded from the chaos of the US-China trade fallout. While Tesla and Ford scrambled to pivot, Toyota kept shipping. This quiet conquest sent shockwaves through boardrooms worldwide. Even German automakers, once skeptical of lithium iron phosphate chemistry, began re-evaluating their roadmaps. Meanwhile, South Korean tech giants like LG and SK On watched as their long-term clients started requesting Toyota-style battery components. Toyota's global footprint gave it leverage in every major EV market. In Europe, where Chinese brands were being hit with tariffs and American brands faced distrust, Toyota's image as a stable, non-controversial alternative gained traction. In South America and India, their lower-cost battery approach made them more appealing than premium-priced Teslas. The world was beginning to shift, not toward the future Elon Musk had promised, but toward the reality Toyota had quietly built. And at the center of that shift one group found themselves left out entirely. The American worker gets squeezed in the EV crossfire. In Michigan, Ohio, and across the American South, the shockwaves from Trump's tariffs and Toyota's battery victory hit hardest on factory floors. Workers who had spent years transitioning to electric vehicle manufacturing were suddenly facing rising uncertainty. Trump's promise of American battery independence had landed with a heavy cost. By severing overseas supply chains without a domestic replacement ready, factories saw component costs spike almost overnight. Assembly lines that once depended on timely shipments from Asia now slowed to a crawl. And with inflation hitting raw materials, some plants were forced to cut hours or delay projects altogether. Worse still, Toyota's dominance meant that more electric vehicles would now be produced abroad, where the company had its supply lines firmly in place. This undercut the very jobs Trump had promised to protect. While the president doubled down on nationalist rhetoric, union leaders were demanding answers. One spokesperson for a major U.S. auto union said it plainly. "We were told tariffs would bring jobs home. What we got instead was layoffs and price hikes." American consumers, too, began to feel the squeeze. The cost of electric vehicles rose as manufacturers passed on the cost of tariffs. Affordable models became harder to find. And with Tesla's eligibility for foreign incentives vanishing, the market tilted in favor of companies like Toyota, who played by different rules. Behind every political soundbite was a very real pain. Workers who had bought into the electric future now wondered if they'd survive its transition. Communities that had pinned their hopes on battery plants were watching those dreams stall. The promise of a clean energy revolution was starting to look like a familiar story. Progress for some, pain for others. And just as that anger began boiling over, a deeper crisis was about to erupt. Tesla's meltdown. From EV king to battery dinosaur. It was supposed to be Tesla's next golden chapter. Instead, Elon Musk found himself watching the crown slip. The company that once defined electric vehicle innovation is now struggling to keep up with a battery war it no longer controls. And while Tesla may still dominate headlines, its grip on the industry is loosening with every passing announcement from Tokyo, Stuttgart, and Shenzhen. At the center of the crisis is Tesla's stubborn attachment to outdated battery strategies. While competitors leaned into lithium iron phosphate chemistry, offering lower costs, safer performance, and better heat management, Tesla stayed loyal to nickel-based cells. These offered higher energy density, yes, but came with skyrocketing costs and severe supply chain vulnerabilities. That gamble now looks more like a blunder. The so-called breakthrough 4,680 battery cells were meant to close the gap. Instead, they opened up a new wound. Repeated delays, inconsistent yields, and escalating costs have turned the project into a cautionary tale. Gigafactories were supposed to churn out next-gen tech. Instead, they're producing questions. Why is the company that once pioneered electric vehicles falling behind in battery innovation? Investor confidence is cracking. Tesla's stock has been on a roller coaster, reflecting deep market unease. Hedge funds and institutional investors who once believed in Musk's vision are starting to ask whether that vision can survive in a world where Toyota just announced a battery that charges to 80% in less than half an hour. When rivals are lowering costs and increasing safety, Tesla's shrinking margins are no longer just a spreadsheet issue. They're an existential threat. Internally, the cracks are showing. Musk's leadership has grown increasingly erratic, driven by political entanglements and distractions outside the auto world. Engineers have reportedly clashed over battery strategy, while some former executives have left to join more nimble competitors. There's no clear direction anymore, just ambition chasing an outdated playbook. Meanwhile, consumer perception is shifting. Tesla's early adopter advantage has eroded. Customers now see better range, safer chemistry, and faster charging from other automakers, often at a lower price. Once revered as the iPhone of the auto world, Tesla is starting to look like BlackBerry. Still around, but fading fast. And yet the collapse isn't just about batteries. It's about identity. Tesla built its brand on being first, fastest, and smartest. Now those labels are slipping away. The question is no longer whether Tesla can lead the next era of electric vehicles. It's whether Tesla can survive it. And while Tesla's battery struggles signal deeper issues, BYD is now facing its own challenge. Toyota's unexpected rise has put everything they've achieved into question. BYD just lost its edge. Here's why Toyota is winning. Only a short while ago, Build Your Dreams was hailed as the new global battery champion. Its second-generation Blade battery stunned the market with fast charging, cobalt-free chemistry, and breakthrough energy density. Investors called it a Tesla killer. Automakers feared it. Governments applauded it. Yet even as BYD seemed untouchable, something unexpected happened. Toyota outmaneuvered them. It began with one quiet announcement: 80% charge in under 30 minutes. That was Toyota's opening move. Then came the flood. New partnerships, safe chemistries, and the one thing BYD has always struggled to secure: global trust. Toyota's advantage isn't just technical, it's psychological. Consumers around the world still associate Toyota with reliability, safety, and long-term value. When that brand steps into the electric vehicle market with cutting-edge battery technology, people listen. And more importantly, people believe. BYD, despite its incredible battery achievements, still struggles with global perception. Outside of China, it's often viewed as unproven. Concerns around data privacy, build quality, and geopolitical scrutiny limit its reach. Toyota, on the other hand, arrives with institutional credibility and decades of goodwill. And then there's the question of production scale. While BYD leads in innovation, Toyota leads in infrastructure. It has the factories, supply chains, and partnerships to mass-produce batteries at a scale BYD has yet to match. In markets like North America and Europe, that matters more than tech specs. Investors are noticing. BYD's stock momentum has cooled. Analysts are asking tough questions. If Toyota can do what BYD does, but safer, cheaper, and more globally accepted, then who really wins the battery war? There's also fear among Chinese shareholders. Did BYD peak too early? Is this what disruption looks like? When the innovator gets leapfrogged by a sleeping giant that finally woke up? Toyota isn't just entering the EV space, it's defining the next chapter. And for BYD, that means the spotlight might be shifting. Fortunately, they are lucky, because while Toyota surges ahead, legacy automakers like Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors are falling further behind, struggling to keep up with a pace they can no longer match. Volkswagen, Ford, GM, too late to compete? While Tesla scrambles and BYD recalibrates, legacy automakers are staring down a painful truth. They may have waited too long. Volkswagen promised an electric future. Ford pledged a full battery lineup. General Motors made headlines with bold zero-emissions targets. But behind the press releases, boardrooms are filled with doubt. Delayed launches, cost overruns, and internal confusion have paralyzed progress. And now Toyota has leapfrogged them all. The gap is no longer narrow. While Toyota quietly invested in solid-state research, faster charging chemistry, and global battery partnerships, its competitors were still debating platforms and supply chain logistics. By the time they move, Toyota is already delivering. This isn't just a technology race, it's a credibility crisis. Volkswagen is still haunted by the memory of diesel scandals and botched software rollouts. Ford and General Motors, despite strong truck sales, have struggled to translate legacy strength into EV momentum. Consumers are watching, and many are losing faith. Internally, there's panic. Engineers tasked with battery development face outdated tools and insufficient funding. Executives are pushing for EV growth without fully abandoning combustion models. The result is a fractured strategy that lacks commitment and direction. Toyota, in contrast, picked a lane and built a highway. It focused on battery chemistry that works, charging speeds that matter, and affordability that resonates. It didn't try to reinvent the wheel. It just made it roll faster, safer, and farther. Now the question facing Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors is no longer how to win, it's how to stay relevant. Because in the face of Toyota's execution, hesitation looks like surrender. As the US and Europe fumble, Japan steps in with a new industrial renaissance. Toyota's dominance marks the return of Japanese power, redefining the future of electric vehicles. What happens when Japan owns the EV future? This isn't just a corporate reshuffling. What Toyota is doing now represents something far deeper: the resurgence of Japanese industrial power. For much of the 21st century, Japan has been cast as a fading force in tech and manufacturing. Overshadowed by Silicon Valley and outpaced by China, the country seemed stuck in the past. But the next generation blade battery changes that. It puts Japan back at the center of the world's most transformative industry. Toyota's move has implications beyond electric vehicles. It signals that Japan is once again willing to lead on innovation, not just in concept, but in scale. The country's long-standing reputation for meticulous engineering, combined with renewed government backing for advanced manufacturing, is beginning to shift the global power dynamic. This resurgence threatens both American and Chinese dominance. As the United States fights internal division and trade wars, and China battles suspicion over intellectual property and authoritarian control, Japan steps in with a different pitch: stability, trust, and reliability. Investors and governments are noticing. European regulators now see Toyota as a safer bet for partnerships. Southeast Asian nations are welcoming Japanese battery investments. Even Middle Eastern energy powers are in talks to diversify into solid-state battery supply deals. The ripple effect is massive. If Japan becomes the hub for safe, scalable, and fast-charging EV batteries, then manufacturing centers, supply chains, and political alliances may realign accordingly. This isn't just about cars. It's about who controls the energy infrastructure of the future. And Toyota, with its blade battery at the center, is quietly putting Japan back in the driver's seat. As we move into the next phase of this industrial battle, it is no longer a story of which company leads. It is about which nation defines the rules of the road ahead. And right now, all signs point to Tokyo. The shift in the global landscape is reflected on Wall Street, where investors are recalibrating as Toyota's breakthrough reshapes the electric vehicle market, leaving competitors scrambling. Wall Street didn't see this coming, but it's too late now. Toyota's unveiling of its next-generation blade battery sent shockwaves through the financial sector. Investors who had long viewed Tesla as the unassailable leader in electric vehicle innovation were caught off guard. The immediate aftermath saw a surge in Toyota's stock, reflecting newfound confidence in the company's strategic direction. Conversely, shares of battery startups and competitors experienced sharp declines as the market began to reassess the future landscape of the electric vehicle industry. The implications of Toyota's breakthrough extend beyond mere stock fluctuations. Venture capitalists, once eager to fund emerging battery technologies, are now re-evaluating their portfolios. The realization that a legacy automaker could leapfrog ahead has introduced a new calculus into investment strategies. Confidence in startups touting incremental improvements has waned, as Toyota's advancement sets a new benchmark for what constitutes a game-changing innovation. This seismic shift is not just a corporate rivalry. It represents a redirection of investor confidence. The financial community is now grappling with the reality that the electric vehicle market is more volatile and unpredictable than previously thought. The recalibration of expectations underscores the need for agility and foresight in navigating this rapidly evolving sector. And while Wall Street scrambles, a new force is emerging. Workers demanding a fair share in this electric vehicle revolution. The electric vehicle labor revolution just started. Toyota's battery breakthrough has far-reaching implications beyond the boardroom, extending into the realm of labor and employment. As the automotive industry pivots towards electric vehicles, traditional manufacturing roles are being upended. Workers who once assembled internal combustion engines are facing an uncertain future, as the skills required for electric vehicle production differ significantly. This transition has ignited a global labor movement. Unions are mobilizing to ensure that the shift to electric vehicles does not come at the expense of workers' rights and livelihoods. In the United States, the United Auto Workers Union is actively seeking to organize employees at new electric vehicle and battery plants, recognizing the critical juncture at which the industry stands. The push for unionization is not without its challenges. Many electric vehicle factories are located in regions with historically low union presence, and companies often resist such efforts. However, the momentum is building, driven by workers' demands for fair wages, job security, and a voice in the industry's future. The labor movement's resurgence underscores the broader societal impact of the electric vehicle revolution. highlighting the need for a just transition that balances technological advancement with social equity. As labor movements rise, Toyota's breakthrough highlights America's failing battery strategy and the fallout it's causing. America's battery strategy is falling apart, and voters know it. The unveiling of Toyota's Blade battery has exposed vulnerabilities in America's approach to battery production and energy independence. The nation's reliance on foreign technology and supply chains has become glaringly apparent, raising concerns about economic sovereignty and national security. President Trump's administration has responded with sweeping tariffs aimed at protecting domestic industries and reducing trade deficits. However, these measures have had unintended consequences. The tariffs have increased costs for critical components like lithium-ion batteries, solar panels, and electric vehicle parts, most of which are imported, thereby slowing progress toward climate goals and energy transition targets. Public sentiment reflects this growing unease. Voters, particularly in manufacturing regions, feel the sting of policies that have led to job losses and higher prices. A recent poll by the Texas Politics Project revealed that while a majority of Texas voters are concerned about rising costs due to tariffs, Republican respondents believe the tariffs will benefit the U.S. economy in the long term. The political ramifications are significant. The electorate's dissatisfaction signals potential upheaval in upcoming elections, as voters seek leaders who can navigate the complex interplay of trade policy, economic growth, and technological innovation. The challenge lies in crafting strategies that bolster domestic capabilities without alienating international partners or exacerbating economic disparities. With the U.S. struggling, the real question now is, can anyone keep up with Toyota's lead? The road ahead. Can anyone catch Toyota now? Toyota's advancements have set a new standard in the electric vehicle industry, leaving competitors scrambling to catch up. The company's focus on fast-charging, durable, and cost-effective battery technology positions it as a formidable force in the market. Rivals like Tesla, Ford, and General Motors now face the daunting task of re-evaluating their strategies. Tesla, once the undisputed leader, must address its reliance on existing battery technologies and supply chains that are increasingly under scrutiny. Ford and General Motors, traditional powerhouses, need to accelerate their electric vehicle programs and forge partnerships to remain competitive. Internationally, China's Build Your Dreams faces challenges in maintaining its edge, as Toyota's brand trust and safety image resonate with global consumers. The competition is no longer just about technological innovation, but also about brand perception, supply chain resilience, and strategic alliances. The road ahead is uncertain. The electric vehicle landscape is rapidly evolving, and companies must demonstrate agility and vision to navigate the twists and turns. The question remains, can anyone catch Toyota? Or has the company secured a lead that will define the industry's trajectory for years to come? What do you think? Comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you there.